Thank you so much for being here. This is the Belonging Project's probably 32nd or 33rd webinar, so we're very happy that you have attended. Just a little bit about the Belonging Project if you are unfamiliar. The Belonging Project is a national collaborative effort to support and build community among diverse law students, attorneys, and their allies to combat the impact of COVID-19 on diversity in the legal profession. It brings together legal industry partners to provide tools, resources, and programs to support the continuing professional and personal development of diverse legal talent. In collaboration with our industry partners, we offer webinars focused on professional and personal development, one-on-one coaching, and a curated resource center devoted to well-being and professional growth. The Belonging Project brings the power of Ubuntu to inclusion and diversity in the profession, which symbolizes the universal bond we have as people and the focus on collective responsibility. Today, we are very excited to have Kim Stewart, founder and president of Key Group, present this webinar. Kim is a strategic advisor for professional services firms, nonprofit organizations, and business executives. She has more than 20 years of experience in constructing and advancing business development initiatives, marketing strategies, and training initiatives. Kim strongly recognizes the need for purposeful inclusion, which is at the heart of all of the programs she oversees. Welcome, Kim. We're very excited to have you.
Hi, thank you. I'm glad to be here. I'm excited to present today on business development in 2020. So I hope you all take a lot away from today. First of all, I want to thank Cyforth and the team here, Whitney, Cynthia, Corey, Michael. Really appreciate working with you and collaborating with you. The Belonging Project is an important initiative, and I applaud the efforts of you and the firm and its partners. So thank you. So today we are talking about the year. It's been a big one. It feels like it's been 10 years in 1 year, let alone this last week. But today in our agenda, we are going to focus on what's changed as it relates to business development and what will stand the test of time. We will assess your business development habits and talk about developing new ones. We'll identify your top targets. We'll discuss cultivating relationships without that in-person interaction. And we will work to incorporate integrity, authenticity, innovation, and leadership into your personal brand. And then at the end, we'll have some next steps as well as a time for Q&A. But I want this to be interactive, so at any point, if you've got any questions, feel free to type that in, and I will do my best to get to it. And yeah, also, in addition, I would love it if many of you might have a piece of paper out for notes, but I would love for you to bring that out now because we're going to be doing a few things that will create a kind of next step map for you with regard to your habits, your contacts, and how you can facilitate your business development relationships. So let's dive in. Yeah, 2020. It's interesting that so many of us, I mean, me in particular, I use emojis so often just to express my feelings. And this emoji in particular has been on my most frequently used section of my emojis for a very long time. But it does convey a lot. This one as well. I'm also into Bitmojis, so there's me in the lemon that is this year. But, you know, we're also going to talk about opportunities and how to turn the opportunity of Zoom conferencing and webinars and producing new content into positive ways to enhance your relationships. So First off, what has changed? All of the obvious: no in-person networking, no in-person industry conferences, events, no coffees, lunches, happy hours. You may start, maybe you're starting to go back to some of those things, socially distant, but it's just not quite the same. I bet that everyone on this call today has had to cancel at least one, if not many, many more event or conference or in-person functions. So with that, we're going to talk about what stands the test of time regardless of what's going on in the world. Relationship building is key. So you don't have those face-to-face meetings. How do you focus on relationship building? Business development is all about relationships. Digital transformation and social media is here to stay, and it's booming in so many different ways. There's so many different platforms, and there's so many areas that you can enhance your brand. And your personal brand and value proposition. Those are things that are going to evolve with you over the course of your career, similar to your elevator pitch, which will evolve. You're going to use things over and over. Your elevator pitch is something that is your most utilized tool throughout your career. So we're going to talk about how to establish a brand and value proposition that sets you apart and that makes you unique. With the pandemic, we have an opportunity to evaluate and self-assess, personally, but professionally, as well as with your business development. So, in terms of business development, what are your business development habits? How much time do you dedicate to business development? Each week, each month? Would you say 1 hour? And I know nobody's going to be answering this question out loud, but I just want you to think about that for a second so that you can truly evaluate this. Is it completely ad hoc? Do you just schedule conferences and sometimes after the conference you'll follow up, sometimes not? Do you post things when you have them in front of you? Do you call someone, at the top when you think about it? Or are you strategic in that business development time? Do you set time aside each week or each month to focus on certain action steps? And if you do, what does that or did that entail? Going to events, presentations, lunches, client site visits, social media, you post something on LinkedIn, pick up the phone and call a client. What did that entail? So now that you've kind of looked at what you've done, think about how much time you can dedicate to business development each week. So no matter how busy you are in any given week, be aspirational here. How much time can you dedicate to business development each week? Would that be an hour? Would that be a few hours? A half hour? And when can you spend that dedicated time? So this is important because this is how you develop your new habit. You've got to figure out when and what works for you. So I've worked with a number of lawyers, a lot of prolific business developers who have chosen different times, and it's all about how you tailor it to make it work for you. Some people want to dedicate time in the morning before you open up your emails, before you get sucked into the email vortex, before you're answering client emergencies, dedicating a half hour Monday, Wednesday, Friday to business development. Other lawyers have said, okay, I'm going to take my lunchtime. I'm sitting at my desk anyway. I'll turn off my computer. I'll pick up the phone. I will start writing an article. That will be my dedicated time. Others have said, Thursday or Friday afternoon when it starts to get slow, I'm able to spend a few hours just focusing on me. Because truly, business development is about you and the people that you serve. So when can you spend that dedicated time? So I want you to take a second to write that down. Write down how much time you plan to dedicate to business development each week and when. So if that is a half hour on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8:30 to 9, write it down. And what I would like you to do after that is calendar it. Put that time, business development time, in your calendar and make it a reoccurring schedule, a reoccurring invite. It takes at least 21 days to build a new habit. So you're going to get started this week, and a month from now, take a look how that habit's going and make yourself accountable in some way for that habit. Make yourself accountable. Tell a partner what you're doing and have them check in on you. Tell a marketing or business development person what you're doing, have them check in on you. Give yourself a reward, whatever it takes. But this is what rainmakers do. This is how they focus and make that time to build their pipeline. Next, it's time to evaluate your top contacts. And many of you probably do this already or have done it. But, now that the pandemic has hit, things have shifted. This list evolves naturally, organically over time. So take a look at who these people are, and you're going to be utilizing that time, that business development time you have dedicated to reach out to those top individuals. So in 3 categories, you want to write down your clients, prospects, and your allies or referral sources. Clients, obvious, those are people that you are working with currently. Think about who has the opportunity for expansion and what might that be. Prospects, think about all the networks that you belong to, whether it's college or law school alumni, any personal friends and family, if you have kids, any other parents that that might work for a company that you're interested in speaking to. I mean, if you go to church, prospects are everywhere. You just have to think outside the box. So write down another 3 to 5 of those top prospects as well. And of course, your allies. Your allies are the people that would really do anything for you, that are always rooting for you. They like you and want to see you succeed. So anybody that's non-competing in your networking groups or trade associations that fits that would be an ally or referral source. And you want to make sure that you are focusing on both internal and external allies. Internal, whether it's your mentor or your sponsor, and a little difference between the 2 mentors are the individuals, and all of you probably have them, who help give you professional advice, who, kind of show you the way in the law firm. And a sponsor is all of that plus somebody who already may be in leadership or is in leadership, somebody on the executive committee or chair of your practice, somebody who has that clout, who can provide opportunities for you, and somebody who can advocate for you to others. So that's a sponsor. You want to make sure that you've got those both internally and externally. So write those down. And now write down at least 1 to 2, but come back to this and think about it. And, obviously I'd be remiss if I didn't pause and incorporate inclusion into your business development. How and where can you incorporate inclusion? Who are some of these diverse prospects that you should be speaking with? Diverse allies, or anybody else, anybody who might be a vendor. Put a special note so that you can include and incorporate diverse professionals. All right, so now moving on to enhancing those relationships. You've got the relationships, you wrote them down. They may have evolved since previous iterations of this, but how do we do this? How do you enhance those relationships? Well, be visible, and given that we are locked down almost, or in our homes, it's a lot more difficult to be visible. But what I mean by visible is to be front of mind, to be consistently not only available, but proactively reaching out to your contacts. So when they think, or when they have a problem or an issue, they automatically think of you. I don't know if this will surprise anyone, but it takes at least 14 touch points to turn a contact into a client. That's a lot. And a lot of us give up after 6 or 7 touch points, especially if we feel like we're not getting anywhere. But timing is everything, and being proactive and being consistent is key to success. Not to the nuisance side. We don't want to be a nuisance to anybody, but as I'll talk about in a little bit, if you're adding value and you're helping to make someone's life easier, you're really putting money into the bank in terms of being visible. Emulate. So emulate the characteristics of those mentors, those sponsors, those people that you admire. We are better together than we are apart about this program. Lead with purpose. Emulate what you would like to see, and serve. And we'll talk about serving in broader detail, but always think about what you can do for other people. That mindset is what is going to foster the reciprocity in your relationships. The more you do for people, the more they want to do for you. And then you solidify that loyalty. I've got a mentor who is an amazing woman and incredibly busy. But every time I get on the phone with her, or get off the phone with her, she always asks, how can I help you? What can I do to help? And I just love that. I mean, not only does it make me feel special, but she really means it. And I try to emulate that whenever I am talking to someone. What can I do to help? So thinking about ways you can serve. All right, so coming to the meat of this relationship building, the substance. What you all need to do as lawyers, especially as you are, especially as you're with the firm for longer periods of time and you become partners, income partners, you need to start bringing in your book of business. You need to have a pipeline of business. So create that opportunity, create the opportunities with your contacts. How do we do that? Well, we start by asking questions. Ask 2 times as many questions as you would normally. Every time you're on the phone with somebody, anytime you're out with someone, ask a question. When you are talking with a client, get some feedback. Don't fear the feedback. That is what's going to help you deepen that loyalty. And ask all types of questions. Personal questions, professional, strategic. Personal questions, you get to know somebody as a friend. And, people like to hire those other people that they like. They don't necessarily want to hire a robot. So getting to know your clients and your prospects on a personal level. Professional, of course, always asking, what's the best way that you would like us to communicate on this project? Or, how do you foresee your business growing in the next year, 2 years, 5 years, so that you can be that strategic partner and set yourself up for serving, set yourself up for providing some value. The pain questions are the ones that are really going to help. Once you get to a pain question that triggers someone's uncomfortableness or fear with respect to your business, you know that you will be able to add some sort of value. And always, even if it's a personal or professional contact, always have an answer ready for, have you been? Or what have you been up to lately? We get that a lot, and I don't know how many times I have talked to somebody and they just say, oh, I'm just so busy, and really don't have a solid connecting answer. So just think about that as you are asking all of these questions, whether you're, at a holiday party or a networking Zoom roundtable. Think about the questions and make sure that you're not too busy to take on new work. Offering the relevant value add. So after you listen to these pain issues, make sure that you have a list of offerings in your back pocket that you can provide. So asking a question, for example, I don't know if you've been following the trends on the latest development in such and such compliance, but they're relevant to your sector. How about we schedule a meeting to discuss implications? So you're asking some questions, you're making yourself available, and then the offering could be a risk assessment or some sort of preventative advice. So think about how you can offer something that is of value, whether it's making a connection, whether it's providing a targeted CLE training, developing a Zoom roundtable or strategy session, partnering with clients for community or diversity online events. That's really kind of getting to know your client and speaking their language, even if it's something personal to them. Invite to an industry webinar and leverage your colleagues' thought leadership. So know what your colleagues are doing so that you can provide that to another client or prospect, or get on LinkedIn and share something that your colleague or peer has done. It's so easy to give a shout out or share something, and it really shows a lot about what you know and what your firm knows. So that's just a few examples of the value adds, the offerings, but take a note and try and come up with 5 offerings that you can provide any of those contacts that you have earlier. I also put in here a link to, a link to 20 questions you should ask current and prospective clients. The source is the William J. Flannery Institute. This is a great resource for just kind of getting a sense of different questions that you can ask and having those in your back pocket as well. So it really is a fantastic list. All right, so now that you are building those relationships, enhancing those relationships, adding value, you're cultivating your personal brand. So like I said, regardless of pandemic, regardless of what's going on in the world, you still have a personal brand, and you want that to be pristine. You want to be distinguished. You want to be, unique from Joe down the street from a different law firm. So personal brand and what that means. It's interesting. I do a training with some attorneys, and it's an exercise where I ask them all to shut their eyes and imagine that they are walking into a pitch room. They've prepped for this pitch, and it's a big company. They're excited. They're going in either by themselves or with a partner, and they go through all the main points of the pitch. They field questions. They ask a ton of questions, pain questions. They field additional objectives that the potential client might have. They close the pitch really well, and they get up, they shake the person's hand, or now pre-COVID, and then leave the room. How would you now think about how, for a minute, you want that client to have perceived you? So what are 3 words in your head that you can think about? How would you want that client to have perceived you so that you get the work, obviously? A lot of times I hear, oh, I want them to think that I am capable, that I'm smart, that I'm competent, that I'm responsive. That's fantastic. That's not wrong. You are all of those things, and I have no doubt that everybody on the phone has all of those traits. But what's going to take you from being a Honda to a Mercedes? What type of brand is going to fast track you to that next level? What's going to make you more unique and memorable than Joe, who's pitching that same client, tomorrow? What type of words would that be? I would suggest expert, leader, strategist, innovator, authentic, all of these things that will elevate your personal brand. And that starts also with integrity. I have no doubt all of you all have integrity. And I'm not talking about work integrity or lawyer integrity. You're all ethical, but integrity in terms of saying something that you're going to do and following up. I think we all, know those people or have friends that you see in the hall or you see at the grocery store, and they say, "Hey, how you doing?" And you chat for a few minutes, and they say, "Let's get together. I'll call you." And yet they never call. And then you see them a week later, and they say, "Hey, I've really been meaning to call you. Let's meet up for dinner next weekend." And they don't follow up. Not that that person's a bad person, but now that person is probably a little more flaky, and you don't necessarily want that type of brand when it comes to you and your relationships. You don't want to be perceived as that with your professional relationships. So if you say that you're going to call someone or you're going to do X, do X. If you say you're going to email somebody a resource, make sure you email that resource. And I know this is not rocket science. This is not, you all know this, but sometimes it takes that extra reminder, especially when our lives get crazy. Authenticity, nobody wants to be that cheesy salesperson, the car salesman, especially when I say, business development, marketing, or sales. I think a lot of people tend to cringe when they hear the word sales, but really, I wouldn't advise you to be anything other than you. People enjoy somebody who is authentic. So be you and just ask those questions with interest. You'll get an understanding of, sorry about that, an understanding of connection, and people will really feel that in response. Obviously, listening with interest, your value proposition, what makes you unique? What makes you unique? Do you have some sort of method by which you do your work? What's your specialty? What do you focus on? What can you really pinpoint? Whether it's a niche, whether it's project management, what is it that sets you apart? And then of course your digital and social media presence. I think it won't surprise anybody how there's been such a significant uptick in online presence in the last year. even more so, and we were gravitating that way. But having a social media presence is going to help you cultivate that personal brand. So with respect to that digital and social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, your firm bio, all these things are important. There's a study that was done, it's a Social Law Firm Index 2020 produced by Good to Be Social. And they talk about the AmLaw 200 firms and how they adopt and how they apply digital marketing over the last year. And they noted that 100% of firms are on LinkedIn. Okay, makes perfect sense. So are the lawyers also on LinkedIn? Are you all on this call on LinkedIn? I hope that I get, however many people are on this call, I get that many invitations on LinkedIn because I want to meet you. So please follow up. One thing I would advise in terms of LinkedIn, make it different from your firm bio. You know, ask your BD or marketing person to help you if you'd like, but so many people just cut and paste their firm bio into LinkedIn, and that's not what people want to see when they go to LinkedIn. They want to see something different. They want to see that value proposition. They want to see some highlighted work that you've done in the last year. Make it unique, make it punchy, make it you. It's really important because, like I said, firms are on LinkedIn. But that means, because firms are there, that means your GCs and the decision makers are on LinkedIn too. Twitter, same thing. Podcasts have increased exponentially, and what a great place to put out content. You know, we have been focused for so long on articles and webinars and blogs. Podcasts is just another platform for your content. You know, as 2020 has evolved, there's been such a huge push for content online. But if you don't have a plan to back up that content, if you don't have a plan to follow up, then you won't get anywhere. It's like throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks, and the spaghetti's not even cooked. So make sure that when you plan to do an article, that there is a plan, that there are goals around what you want to do with that article and action steps. You want to get that article published in such magazine. Great. Write that goal down. See if your marketing person can help you get that done so that you get published. You want to send that published article to, you know, 10 people individually with a personal note. So make sure you follow up on all of that content. Use that content to pitch yourself to an industry podcast. Leverage it, leverage. Utilize that. And then, you know, take everyone else, your peers, your colleagues, what are they doing, and what can you provide your clients and your contacts by way of your peers. And shout outs on LinkedIn. It is so easy to do a shout out to a friend, a peer. Again, focus on diversity and inclusion, telling someone that, sharing a post and telling them they did a great job, and then actually commenting on that post in a thoughtful way. It goes a long way towards your personal brand, and you continue to be at the top of the feed in LinkedIn. And it doesn't take long. It takes a couple minutes. It's a couple minutes out of that half hour Tuesday, Wednesday time that you've dedicated. Oh, one of the other things that I read in the Social Law Firm Index report is that 80% of law firms are leveraging webinars, which makes sense. 38% of law firms have podcasts, and that means their own channel. And 42% of firms have an Instagram account, which I found interesting. Very interesting. All right, so take action. So you've got your list in front of you. You've got your new BD habit. You've got your contacts. Now I want you to write down 3 tactical steps based on what I've discussed so far. 3 tactical steps and a deadline for each. So for instance, review your LinkedIn profile, make sure it's not a cut and paste, edit, upload by next Friday. Contact your client, Sally, and with a specific pain question, and think about what type of offering you could provide when she answers you. Reach out to your partner, Ed, and ask him what he's been doing lately in terms of thought leadership. And think about how you can promote him or provide that thought leadership to a contact of yours. And then write a deadline for each. This is something that you can be doing every single week during that time. It doesn't take a lot of time. You'll start to see results. You'll continue to have that mindset as you build that habit, as you work on that muscle memory. You'll start to see that momentum, and this is how you start to really deepen those relationships and build your pipeline. So with that, I'm going to go to any questions. Oh, by the way, I want to let you know that this program is approved for CLE. The CLE code is SS, that's S as in Sam, S as in Sam, 2775. And attendance forms will be provided in the post-webinar email that you receive. So, questions? Yes, that's me again, needing a hug. Any questions? Well, good. I've either bored everyone to sleep, or I have been so comprehensive that you don't have any questions, or you can type these questions in, by the way. If there are any questions after the fact, if you think about it following the webinar, feel free to reach out to me. My information is right here. I am available to answer any of your questions, and I really do want to hear from you. Please invite me to connect on LinkedIn.
Kim, this was great. Thank you so much. It was a lot of information, and I think it was, I think people are thinking about their plans. I know I am. So
yes.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Great. You're very welcome.
Thank you. Have a great one.